Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. It looks a little bit messy, doesn't it? Thank you very much for coming along and saying hello on a Saturday morning here in Thailand. Saturday morning not only in Thailand but in Phuket. Just wanted to make sure, as we always do, can you hear me okay? I know there's a bit of background noise there, but at the end of the day we are in a cafe. Think I should do the top button up or not? Who cares? Very good news for me today is I get rid of these bandages and stitches, so I'm looking forward to that straight after I do this program today. So it's great having you with us, and thank you for your time. And I was going to have a talk about a few things today. Let's go through what they are. I was going to have a talk about what you think about the possibility of buying land in Thailand. Now, this is a big, still no co-host. Sorry, Reg, no, it's just me. Not sure what happened to the co-host. Anyway, you've got me and that's all that matters, hey? Maybe you can come and help me, Reg. So yeah, what do you think about the ownership of land in Thailand to foreigners? So we're going to have a talk about some attempts to do it in the past, what's happening with that current proposal, what the public debate is about, and more importantly, what you think about it. Or indeed, if any of you are going to stump up the cash to buy property in Thailand. And there's a whole lot of arguments in this, and we'll try and flesh those out in the program. I was also going to ask you what you think. There's the coffee, already consumed. What do you think about TNT? This is our program that we do together, and our coverage of politics. Somebody messaged me during the week and said, no one's interested in politics, we don't want to know. Well, my response to that is, well, I'll go through my response later because I'm just getting through the topics we're going to discuss today. Milestones for TNT. I was also going to discuss my next objectives after kicking a few ticks over the past month, and very grateful for your support. But yeah, I was going to discuss where we're going next and an interesting charity that we're going to be doing. Also, tourism numbers. We get these tourism numbers coming out, usually published by the TAT, and they always seem to be wildly exaggerated. And I accept the fact that they are wildly exaggerated, and I've pointed them out in the past, and we'll call them out, because I think it's wrong to give mostly tourism companies, tour companies, hotels, some sort of false hope. So I'm going to have a look at the psychology as to why they actually publish those numbers. So I thought that might be an interesting discussion as well. But before that, hello to everybody. We've got Kevin, Chai, we've got Nongwasu, Nongwasao, oh, I always get it wrong. Frank a regular. Stevie, Mango Sticky Rice, I'll get to your question in a moment. Reg, Don, we've got Tim in Sydney, who I had lunch with a few weeks ago. Tim paid, by the way. And Chai, Ken, heaps of you, so it's great to have you with us today. So the comments and the questions that we had during the week, I published yesterday on our community section. Do you have some questions? So it gives me a short moment to think about an answer. Jerry Tilley said, what's the latest news about the new extra tourist tax? Think that it was going to be about 300 baht. Has it definitely been decided to introduce it, and from what date? Jerry, what I know about this is an arrival tax. And the idea was anybody coming through the turnstiles at immigration would have to pay the tax. Now, the discussion was that the airlines would probably be paying for this tax. So it would be included in your airfare. So most people probably wouldn't even know that they're paying it unless they had a look at their receipt. So an interesting proposal. There have been departure and arrival taxes in the past, so this is nothing new. So I suppose the question is the 300 baht going to be something that would turn people off actually coming to Thailand? Some of the latest discussions involved exempting Thais from the tax, and I suppose a lot of the Thais were happy about that. They may be more price sensitive than, for example, some of the foreign tourists. It hasn't been introduced at this stage. I think that there has been some negative reaction to it, not only from foreign travellers, but also from the people who would be directly affected. That's mostly the airlines, who said that's not their job to be the tax collector for Thailand. We just want to fly aeroplanes and bring people to your country. So I don't think they've actually worked out all the details yet. So let's see what's going to happen with that. At the moment, there's no incoming tourist tax, and the tourism minister hasn't announced when that might start. There were some sort of discussions that it would start at the end of this year to take advantage of a surge in tourists and travellers during the traditional high season. But my understanding is that it probably will be next year. If they were going to do it, they would have announced it by now. So it would take 90 days to be introduced, is my understanding, because it has to be included on the Royal Gazette. So if the Cabinet goes tick today, it will take another 90 days by the time it gets published in the Royal Gazette. Anyway, the tourist tax, and so would Jerry. Tim, P-U-T-I-M. I'm curious about a teaser on another channel that mentioned a guy stealing 2 big water pumps north of Bangkok that caused some flooding because of his crime. I suppose that much copper wire is worth big bucks these days. That channel never got to the story. Maybe it didn't happen. I watch every day. You have the best coverage. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know about that story. If you do, you might like to send us a link. If you can't actually send a link, you might like to put the actual name of the story so that Tim might be able to just Google the headline of the story and find it. I don't know about that, but I think they have handled the latest flooding in Bangkok much better than in the past, given that I think they've learnt a lot. And they also understand that it's a problem that they're going to have to confront a lot more in the future because of the severity of the rainfalls, which has increased. Not the overall average rainfall, but the severity. When it does rain, it rains more. That's statistically proven. The sea levels are rising. That's statistically known. Also, when you have flooding coming down the river and you've got a rising tide in the Gulf of Thailand, you've got the problem there. So, yeah, theft of those pumps. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Kevin OB. Hi, Kevin. COVID in Thailand is still a slow burner of an issue. My girlfriend is on day 5 of compulsory confinement. I was unaware that there was compulsory confinement now if you have COVID-19. Food only delivered to her for the first 2 days. After that, she's been forced to break quarantine by going outside to buy food and water for herself. So she's able to get out of her quarantine. It's not a very good quarantine, I wouldn't have thought. She says that the authorities have run out of funds to feed their internees. Kevin, there's a lot of questions in that particular comment. I'm not aware that there is compulsory confinement or quarantine for people who have COVID-19 these days. So I probably need to know a little bit more information before I could make a useful or valid comment. Zam. Tim, imagine being shot in the shin. Ouch, poor man. That, I suppose, is in reference to the, I suppose they're calling it an assassination attempt on the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. I knew him as a cricketer. Am I wrong? Is it the same Imran Khan? Anyway, he was shot in the shin. And yeah, it would be very painful. There's not much sort of muscle and flesh there to absorb the bullet. Ouch, indeed. Hope he recovers. Good morning to a wet and rainy day. This is Mango Sticky Rice here in Surin Beach. I was wondering your take on the proposal for foreigners owning 1 rai of land, the positives and the negatives. I'll get to that in just a moment. Ben Hayes, hello Ben. Nuan, the cat chosen as Thailand's mascot for the APEC summit in Bangkok. So will Nuan join the Newton cat family? Well, Ben's referring to my two cats, which are Dina and Dusty, who make irregular appearances these days on TNT. Nuan the cat, well, this is just some ordinary moggy they've dragged off the streets. I don't think anything in comparison to these cats, because they were born in Siam. That's about the only claim they have to being Siamese. I don't know much about Nuan. I haven't seen Nuan lately. There hasn't been much about him. I have to say, generally, the whole APEC build-up, despite the government trying to sort of froth up the interest, most Thai people, they've done some surveys recently, and they couldn't be more disinterested in what's happening with APEC. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the politicians and the diplomats and the hanger-oners that come along, and a bit of a boost to the businesses that feed them and house them and drive them around for the 2 or 3 days. But for the rest of us, it's going to be a bit of a bore. There will be some, I'm trying to think of the right word, the usual photos where they stand around in silly shirts and the host shirts, and they'll be hugging the cat and stuff. It's just going to be all a bit of a bore. The only fun will be, well, we know that Joe Biden, the US president, isn't coming. But if the Russian president turns up and we get Xi Jinping turning up, and we get a few of the Western leaders hanging out with them, there could be some interesting conversations and some interesting photos. But other than that, I don't think we're going to really know much about what's happening with APEC. I did notice that they're closing down Asok intersection for a few days during APEC. Is one of the main intersections along Sukhumvit Road, and it's not too far away from the Queen Sirikit Convention Centre where the APEC meeting is being held. And Asok, I used to live very close to there, so that'll be quite a problem. You've got the SkyTrain that goes over the top. I'll imagine they'll let the SkyTrain go, but there's a lot of traffic that goes through that Asok intersection. Where's it going to go? Noting that they are giving people in Bangkok and a couple of the neighbouring provinces days off. So maybe you don't have to go through the intersection. You can take the day off work and work from home or go on a holiday. Jerry Tilley, did you ask me a question early? It's the same Jerry Tilley. You've had two goes here. What is the latest news about, already done that, prep for it? Do you have more info? I only briefly heard about a group of people meeting in a car park or parking lot, and one of them touched or leaned against an electrified fence. Thanks, Tim. I don't have any more info. I didn't hear about that incident. Again, if anybody knows about that, if you could just paste the headline. I don't think you can paste links into the comment section, but if you've got a headline, paste it in and we might be able to find out more about that. I don't know. Peter Smith. Hi, Peter. How can Thailand... Oh my goodness, Scott. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I'm taken aback. Thank you very much for a very kind donation. I'll do my best to live up to your expectations, Scott. Wow. Taken aback. Peter Smith. Thank you, Scott. How can Thailand get better at controlling air pollution? Health effects are very serious, so that it's a well-recognised factor that deters retirees settling in Chiang Mai. I think you could be right there. But factory and traffic air pollution around Bangkok is also fatal. Just fatal slowly, not fast. Peter, air pollution is a problem around Thailand. It's not as perhaps as good at clamping down and cracking down on pollution. The biggest problem in the north of Thailand is the burning off of those plantations. Rather than digging the sugarcane and the corn into the ground after it's been harvested, they burn it because that's the cheapest way of doing it. They can't afford the machinery, and the government hasn't been able to find a way of funding the machinery. Still taken aback by Scott's generosity. My goodness. So the issue here would be that it's not just what's happening directly around Chiang Mai. When you have a look at those heat maps, and we're getting into the harvesting season, sort of January, February, March, April next year, we will also be able to see the burning off that's going just over the border in Myanmar. Oh my God. Oh, Joe, please everybody, that this is too much. So I deeply appreciate your kind donations. I don't want to solicit the money or take advantage of it, but I think that's just too much, Joe. But thank you very, very much. And Joe, I'm not sure what I can do for you in return, but that's an extremely generous and kind donation. Oh my God. Okay, so just concentrate. So with Chiang Mai, the issue is mostly about what's happening over the borders. Also in Cambodia, you can see on the fire maps the smoke drifting across into Thailand. During that time of the year, the wind goes around from the southwest monsoon that we have roughly sort of between May and the end of November each year, and it goes around to a northeast airflow. So it's dragging in the air from the continent down across the north and northeast of Thailand down to Bangkok. So you have a situation where any smoke that is generated in places like Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia, it is floating down through Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai and those northern provincial areas and down into Bangkok. So that's the real sort of broader key issue about the smoke. Yeah, it does deter a lot of people. Would I want to go and live in Chiang Mai and have to face that for 2 or 3 months a year? Absolutely not. I mean, Chiang Mai is a stunning place. If you're not into beaches and you love living in Thailand, Chiang Mai would be a great location. That's where Jet lives. You can go say hello to Jet, who's coming down to Phuket in a few weeks, by the way, so we'll see if we can drag him along to have a chat with us. But yeah, the smoke problem, I think, is something that the government needs to tackle. But I don't know how. What are you going to do? Ring up the Burmese government, the military junta, that care little about their own citizens, let alone worrying about what's happening in Thailand. So I think that's a really interesting question, Peter. And I don't think the Thai government's got any solutions, but hopefully that might be an explanation about what I sort of think is happening. R. Dewsbury says, what's the air pollution like in the south? Well, all that air pollution that's coming down from the north and from the smoke and from the fires doesn't really get down to the south. We certainly don't have a general pollution problem in. Thank you very much, Carl Travel Dude. Thank you for your work. Enjoy. Thank you very much, Carl, and thank you to anybody who's been kind enough to make donations. Keep them small. I do appreciate them. Anything too big, and I'll just get embarrassed, and I'll ring you up and want to take you out to dinner or something. Okay, so that's my thoughts about those questions that came in yesterday. Usually on the Saturday program, I'll publish on the community section an opportunity to post your questions first. Let's have a talk about Thailand, and this also answers one of the questions from Mango Sticky Rice. This is actually a very interesting dynamic. In the broadest terms, the Thai government has a proposal to sell up to 1 rai of land, and that's big enough for a good-sized house and a fair block of land, so that you would be able to have a garden and a pool, or yeah, it's a fair, decent-sized plot of land. But you're going to have to invest 40 million baht into bonds, shares or investments in Thailand, and that'll be locked up for at least 3 years. This is the current proposal, although there are also current discussions that they could lengthen the amount of time that your investment... Oh dear, that your investment... What happened there? What happened? Noisy. Don't they know that I'm broadcasting? How inconsiderate. So they're talking about actually extending the amount of time. So that's an interesting dynamic. You've also got the requirement that to buy the 1 rai of land, you'll have to have a long-term resident visa. So basically it's saying that, yeah, you're going to be living in Thailand. So that's, I think, also putting another layer of complexity, because there's fair qualifications involved with getting a long-term resident visa, and it's got its own caveats and requirements. So you put all that together, and then you're going to say, well, who is going to go through all that just to be able to own a block of land in Thailand? And there's also requirements about where you can and can't buy that land, and what you can do with that land when you want to dispose of it. So there's a whole lot of requirements. It's not as easy. Now, a lot of people out there, they've responded over the past couple of weeks when this topic has been discussed, and they've said, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. In other words, if Thais can buy property in other countries, those countries should be able to buy property in Thailand. So they're wanting a reciprocal sort of a situation. Well, the situation is that you shouldn't be having a go at Thailand when other countries are selling their property. That's the other. Maybe some sort of reciprocal arrangement could be part of it. I think maybe making that a requirement and then getting rid of all these other requirements so that you and I could buy a block of land here if we wanted, if our country had reciprocal rights. I don't know, what do you think about that? So this is, like the cannabis issue, has become somewhat of a political football. It's moved away from public debate and interesting, intelligent discussion to becoming a political football. And we are in a de facto, what would you call it, election campaign at the moment. The election looks like it's going to be, the hot tip at the moment is on May the 7th next year. That means the full parliament would run, which would be up to March the 23rd next year, when the parliament would be dissolved, an election campaign run, and the election being held on May the 7th. Now, anything could happen between now and then, but if there's no huge political disasters, the election will probably be, the current parliament will run all the way through. So let's go through and see what people are saying. Frank in Thailand, land is in my wife's name, as it's in her family for decades. Okay, so a lot of people are saying, well, what about the alternatives? You can get a Thai spouse. You certainly don't own the land. You certainly aren't in control of the land. You're really at the vagary of keeping that relationship together and goodwill on both sides. I could pave all the way from here to Bangkok with emails I've had from people about failed relationships and loss of property. I don't really think that's a solution. But if it works for you, well, that's up to you. The other thing is you could get a 30-year lease. You get a 30-year lease, which you could possibly then get another 30 years plus 30 years, so a total of 90 years. You've only got a guarantee of that first 30 years. The second and third 30-year leases are really up to the negotiations. Then, of course, you've got the option of forming a company, and that company could buy the land, a Thai company. Oh, great, I'll be a director of the Thai company. But you, as a foreigner, can only have 49% of the shares in that company. The other 51% of shares have to be Thai people. So, okay, it's your company, but you only have 49% of the vote. So you can't really, in any way that is called hands-on ownership, own land in Thailand. I would actually go so far as to say that you shouldn't even try and own land in Thailand. I think renting and leases is so easy to do, and there are so many properties up for lease that that's the way that if you want to live in Thailand, just don't bother about owning land. Own land in your own country. Rent out your property, make some money from that. But a foreigner owning land in Thailand at the moment, I think, has got a lot of problems and caveats, because all you need is another government coming along and they can change the rules. There's just no long-term tenure. That was the problem with the Thaksin administration, which allowed foreign ownership of land. They got a very small uptake, and then they changed the rules. And so there was a problem with the tenure of those people that took advantage. And same with the current proposal. It doesn't really talk about some guarantee. There's just no guarantees. Paul Sumner says if Thailand sold land freehold to foreigners, the cost of living would skyrocket like in other countries, and locals would not be able to afford housing. At best, maybe extending the leasehold period. A lot of people thinking that because it may cause some sort of spike in land prices. Let's go back through some of your comments and see what you're saying. Never seen Tim this flabbergasted. Sorry, yes. Free breakfast for Tim for the whole month. That would be nice. I'm here at Dean and DeLuca. Thank you very much to Dean and DeLuca for letting me do this. I sort of become a tradition now. I was going to do it at home today, but I've got a few problems with the home internet. They seem to have very good internet. Actually, I'm not even using their internet. I'm using my phone's Wi-Fi. Okay, let's see. Burning after harvest. Up in Isan, not supposed to burn the sugarcane. Oh, look, they do burn the sugarcane. They're meant to try and crack down on it, but every year the same thing happens. They burn the sugar, corn. What's the other one? The other main one, maize. Or maize is corn. I'll remember 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. What else have we got? A dollar sign popped in to bring Jet on as a co-presenter. It may be just a one-off. It's not going to be a regular thing. Thailand, country of complications, says Jason. Joe Schmo, have Jet too low. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Risky to buy property in Thailand, says Isnam Manchai. I don't think that's your name. Who knows? Change of government, buy property. It's happening in other countries, just rent. Look, I really do believe this. I'm actually going to make a video suggesting that you don't buy property in Thailand and giving you all the other options. I just don't see, except for a very few amount of people who have done well with real estate investment, given all the challenges and the problems you could have, I just don't think it's worth the hassle these days. Also, given that I think we're about to see a big fall in property prices right around the world, and it's happening in different countries at different times, but I've noted on the internet that we're seeing quite a few problems in more advanced economies facing problems with the real estate prices starting to tank. So that would eventually then happen in Thailand as well, and you wouldn't want to be buying property at the peak. Unless, of course, you want to establish a firm base for you and your family. But at the moment, how firm is it? Well, the government haven't really said. It's not yours forever. It's yours while it suits the government. Dean and DeLuca is a great place to eat, says Ray Bond. Yes, they've got quite good menu. Not particularly cheap, but the food is very good. I had pancakes with fruit this morning. The fruit, of course, makes it very healthy. Maybe to safeguard Thai interests, allow a 100-year or lifetime lease for the land. I think that would assuage most foreigners concerned about owning land in Thailand. KJ, that sounds like a really good idea. Come up with a firm policy of a 100-year lease. Worked for the British with Hong Kong, didn't it? What else have we got? That's fantastic. Wish I'd thought of that. No, keep Thailand for Thais, says Marcus the hippie in disguise. 30-year lease with no guarantee of extension is just too short, says KJ. The chairman says, morning Tim, morning all from a sunny and fine day in northern Thailand. Great job, much appreciated, thank you. Use Thailand as a party place. Stay in Cambodia. Those comments from Zaraza. Can the Thai baht crash as it did in the early 90s? I don't think there's any sign of the Thai baht crashing. We have noted over the past 3 or 4 months that it has lost quite a lot of value against the US dollar, but that's mostly because the strength of the US dollar has risen against all currencies. And against other currencies, the Thai baht's been quite, barring the small ups and downs, it's been quite consistent. Given the way that Thailand has emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic economically, and looking ahead, I don't see any signs of the Thai baht crashing, and nothing like, for example, what happened back in 1997 with the Asian financial crisis. Frank in Thailand, don't invest more than you are willing to walk away from. That goes for just about every foreign adventure. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Frank. Gary, I just sold my condo to a Russian couple, yet time to rent, not own. So yeah, tell me, if you have invested in Thailand, how you've gone with selling the property. Did you make money? Did you lose money? Did you make a lot? Did you think it was worth it? Was it complicated? Was it something that you'd do again? So I'd be interested to know if you have invested in Thailand, buying property, which would mostly mean for a foreigner a condo. Did you make some money from it? 30 years is more than enough, says Steve Austin. Not many of us are going to outlive that. Gee, I hope I've got 30 years in front of me. Robert Groves, our land is in my wife's name and we just celebrated our 34th wedding anniversary, so I think you, that's fantastic. But for people who actually want to have land ownership, that may not necessarily qualify. It's basically in your wife's name, and I'm absolutely delighted that you've got a long-term, secure relationship, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. And for a lot of people, unfortunately, it just doesn't work out that way. The investment requirement is question mark, question mark, question mark, rent and accept flexibility. If I may suggest, please stay level. Larry Connolly, wise words. Good morning, Tim. From okay, travel incoming petrodollar rising interest rates. Okay, yes, I own a condo in Katu, foreign freehold, great place to live, and I don't have to do the gardens or look after the pool. So it's working for Mike. The question is, Mike, if you were to sell that tomorrow, would you make some money? Or are you looking at it as an investment or just a secure place for you to live? But glad you're living the life in Katu, in Phuket. When the Thailand Pass was in play, it was a breeze to get through. How is it now? Well, there's no Thailand Pass. You can just arrive tomorrow with a spare pair of shorts and some sun cream and just are in. There's no certificates, there's no Thailand Pass, there's nothing. Just get on a plane and come. The worst, I think, may be some airlines may still require you to wear a mask. I flew on Scoot exclusively when I went to Australia a few weeks ago, and no one was wearing, well, very few were wearing masks on the plane. It wasn't required. Mike, giving us some more information. It's our holiday home for my wife and I. She's about to move to Perth, Australia. Okay, good luck to your wife. RS says, I see so many buildings abandoned in Bangkok. Ghosts are a problem for Thais. Yeah, that's a fair comment too. Look, there is a lot of property in Thailand. There's a lot available. If you want to rent at the moment, you can rent a property, a big property, a small property, an office, even land for what I would describe internationally as a very good price. I've had a property in Phuket. I've rented all the time. I've had 6 properties over 11 years. It's given me flexibility to move closer to work at the time, closer to the airport at other times, move away from where there was huge amount of roadworks. And now I'm in a place where I've got quite a large plot of land. I've got a pool. the 2 cats, I've got the barbecue. I'm living the great Australian dream in Phuket. So, and it's costing me, calculator, well, it's at 20,000 baht a month. So I think that's a pretty good price. It's probably more than a lot of people pay for a rented house. You could rent a property with a beach view. You'd probably pay 30 or 40,000 baht minimum, but not in a fashionable area. But you can live and rent very, very cheaply, and most landlords are quite flexible. I mean, mine lets me paint the walls. I've knocked out a few windows. I've done a makeover of the kitchen. She's very happy when I do these things because she knows it's adding value to her property. Mike Burston, I thought the Australian dream was a cold case of VB. Well, I suppose a lot of people have different dreams. Thailand heron. I bought a house in Thailand 9 years ago. I don't think it's worth much more now than I paid for it, but I got to live in it not to make money. But I got it to live in it, not to make money. Greetings from Melbourne, from Mark Lang. What else have we got here? Ian McNamee says VB is shit. We're talking about beers now. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about alcohol brands on a Thai YouTube channel. I think we just did. We arrived in Phuket, on the 2nd, and was super easy to enter. People telling me that it's been very easy to arrive in Thailand. When I came back, 2 weeks ago, I arrived at immigration and stamped straight in. I was the first at immigration, and it was a breeze. I was in and out of immigration in about 2 minutes. Which brings me to my next topic. How much is 1 rai of land, says somebody. I have no idea. It depends where you are. It could be cheap, it could be expensive. If you're in the middle of Bangkok, it's going to be more expensive than if you buy a plot of land up in Udon Whoop Whoop, where it would be a great deal cheaper. So it depends entirely on where you buy your land. Consult your nearest real estate agent, and good luck with that. Let's have a talk about people arriving in Thailand. There were some pictures earlier in the week of some very crowded immigration queues at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok. It was quite interesting to see because they've been sort of saying that immigration's ready for a surge of tourists, and now we're getting close to the high season, we're all ready. And we saw these photos and it was a complete debacle. Now, then on Wednesday this week, we had an announcement from the Transport Minister, about the number of arrivals in Thailand during October. He was claiming there had been 3.1 million tourists, his words, that arrived during October. I called him out on that and said there's no possible way, given the problem with Chinese getting to Thailand at the moment and the lack of Russian tourists. Yes, there are a few, but not many. And with those two markets cut down to a bare minimum, we couldn't possibly have had 3.1 million tourists come through the turnstiles. And I also note that when I look out at the streets, I walk past the shops, I go up to Bangkok, there's no way that the tourism is back to the pre-COVID numbers. If it was 3.1 million tourists each month for the whole year, that would be back to pre-COVID numbers. I was going to sort of question the psychology of why the Thai government, particularly the TNT, seem hell-bent on fluffing the numbers. I mean, I got onto this about, 2 years ago, when they were starting to promote the sandbox in Phuket. And I was having almost daily arguments with people. They were saying, we're going to get all these people and 30,000 people a day and tourism back to normal in a couple of months. I mean, here we are 2 years later and it's still nowhere there's still nowhere near that. So what is the psychology? Why do they feel so inclined to exaggerate the numbers of the tourists coming into Thailand? Firstly, we should call these people travellers. Many of them are tourists, but they're not all tourists. Many of them are Thai. They're Thais returning from holidays, returning from long trips overseas. So I don't know why that they keep on saying all these people coming through immigration are tourists. Maybe 70, 80% of them are, but certainly not all of them. So when they talk about the arrivals, they need to break it down. They break it down into countries quite often. And recently we've reported on the numbers of people coming through the turnstiles in Phuket, and we note the countries where they're coming from. If I was doing the PR for the TAT, this is what I would be saying. I wouldn't be coming up with a number or assuming the amount of baht that you're going to make from the tourists. That just sounds like you're money grabbing. My media release would say, we're delighted that more tourists have come to Thailand in the past month than in the previous months. We've estimated that the number is X, and give the actual number reported by the immigration, not these numbers that they make up. We're delighted people are returning to the country, and we hope that more people take advantage of the open borders and the lack of restrictions in the future, and to come and enjoy amazing Thailand. That's all they need to say. Coming up with, there's going to be this number of tourists next month, and we've had so many, what have you said? Something's come through, I'm not quite sure what it is. I'll check that out in just a moment. Gijo George, thank you. 100 SAR, is that South African Rand? I don't know what the value of that is, but Gijo, thank you very, very much for the, again, the very kind donation. I'm assuming South African Rand, I'm not sure if I'm correct. So, yeah, I don't know why they're always talking about we're going to make this amount of billion baht from tourists and we're going to get 30,000 next month. Forget the predictions. Nobody knows what's going to happen next month, let alone you and me, and certainly not the tourism board. I mean, they can go out and actively encourage different people to come. I noticed they've had some US travel agents in Bangkok over the past couple of weeks, encouraging US travel agents to suggest Thailand as an option for American travellers, and they've also been talking to Delta Airlines about increasing its frequency of the trips to Thailand via South Korea at the moment. So that's all good. Let's do that. Let's encourage people to come. But for the TAT, it's time to give us real numbers and a reality, because every time you tell Thai tourism operators that rainbows and unicorns in the future, you're setting them up to fail. And that happened when the border started reopening. The Thai tourism and hotel operators were told that it's all sunshine and rainbows and everything's going to be back to normal. And it's not. It's nowhere near normal. I don't even want to use the word normal. I think it's a stupid word to use because the whole dynamics of the travel industry are very different now than they were before. And we note that by far the largest number of travellers into Thailand over the past, I don't know, year, I think almost half the travellers, it might be as much as half the travellers have come from one country, and that's from India. So, yeah, I think we're in a situation where we got to acknowledge what's happening. Short-haul travel, Malaysians, South Koreans, Indians, even Vietnamese, Singaporeans. There's a lot of Singaporeans in Phuket at the moment. So these are the current countries that are providing tourism for Thailand. The more traditional or the older feeders, the Europeans, still quite a lot of British coming. Australians are still coming, but not that many Americans. So, I mean, there has been a real dynamic shift, and it's not normal. It's not what we had before COVID. So all we need to do is to try and get as many travellers coming to Thailand, wherever they're coming from. It doesn't matter, as long as they're coming here, enjoying themselves, spending money, and helping the tourism industry recover. Okay, so thank you very much, Joe George. Very, very kind. Chicano on the go says it's not normal, it's the new normal. I don't even think we can say new normal because I think what is the current paradigm is going to be different next month than the month after. There's a whole shift and a whole evolution of the entire travel industry. Airlines going out of business, new airlines coming in, airfares going up, airfares going down, airlines buying new aircraft, chucking out some of their bigger planes, the 747s and the Airbus 380s, and getting into smaller, long-range aircraft. I mean, there's so many changes to what we had before COVID as the travel industry realigns itself for, well, this sort of brave new world that we've entered into. It's the newer normal, says Matt Pearson. And what else have we got? There does appear to be a lot more farang here in Hua Hin over the last month or so. Thank you, Ken RQ. So tell us where you are, if you are in Thailand, and what's the current tourism situation. I can say in Phuket, if you go to Patong, the first couple of streets are really, really busy. You go back to the back 2 or 3 streets that also used to be busy, and there's very few people there. If you head down the coast to Kata Karon, maybe only 20% of the shops are open. Okay, I'll be generous, I'll say 30%. Up around Bang Tao and Cherm Talay, quite busy there, and it's been busy right throughout COVID, as it was in Rawai down the very, very south of the island as well. So tell us where you're from and what it's like in your part of town regarding tourism at the moment. India, get that, India, says Ian McNamee. Not sure what you're saying. Ray Bond says, I was in Phuket last week, definitely more tourists and lots more restaurants and bars open. Airport wasn't busy, it's not back to pre-COVID. I'm going to do something a bit weird. I had my eyes operated on 3 years ago. I had the natural lens removed, basically cataracts, and I had an artificial lens put in my eyes, and it's a multifocal lens, and that gives me the option. The multifocal means I can see close, middle and far. I have perfect eyesight, except for really, really close, and I'm that far away from my computer screen, so I am going to put these on just so I can read the screen a little bit better. So I hope you don't mind. Because I can read it without, but it's not 100%. That just makes it a little bit better. These are like #1 reading glasses. I think I paid 60 baht for these. Okay, it's not normal, it's the new normal. I think we read that. In Northeast, saw a couple of cows and gang of water buffalo, no tourists in the village, says Don Jordan. Which part of the Northeast are you from? Mac Coombs, Tim, can you suggest a nice waterfront hotel there? I might be coming to your area from Korat. I'm a US traveller from the USA. You're spoiled for choice. There are so many good hotels. Depends if you want to be near the party areas or whether you want to sort of be a bit further out of town. If you're up in Mai Khao, there's the Marriott, there's the Renaissance. They're both beautiful hotels. Down at Nai Han, what's that called? I can't remember the name of that great big hotel there. It's had a name change. Look, I don't really want to start recommending hotels because I'll leave somebody stay at the house with Tim. No, you can't stay with me. I'm sorry, Mac. Get on to bookings.com or hotel.com or Agoda, your favourite online travel agency. There are many, many options, and they're doing good deals at the moment, even coming to the high season. There are literally hundreds of beachside properties. I paid 35 baht for reading glasses. Well done, Paul Henry. They're pretty cheap. They do the job. That's the main thing. Did you get any speeding tickets in Australia? I find it hard to adjust Australian driving. The Australian driving experience was so different when I was there. It was so regulated. My car was telling me when I was over the speed limit, flashing lights at me. The Google Maps was flashing lights at me. I turned off an alarm because there was actually an alarm telling me I was driving too fast. There were signs, there were speed cameras, there were these memes, drink driving is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. It was just an onslaught of ways that I couldn't enjoy the driving experience in Australia. It wasn't that pleasant. No, I didn't get any speeding tickets. It's almost impossible to speed. Really? Okay, what else have we got here? Makes you look more intelligent, Tim, says Thug Life. Well, I need everything I can get. Librarian Tim, says KJ. Jojo visited Asok Towers. I remember that. Gijo visited Asok Towers. I don't know what they're talking about. We finally get to see Tim's secret identity. Okay. Somebody suggesting Angsana Resort in Laguna, Gary Corwin. Well, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't particularly like Laguna. Laguna is sort of Legoland to me. You can go there and there's some beautiful resorts and there's some lovely houses and the streets are all nice and clean. It's not Thailand. It's sort of, I don't know, fake. I'll get a lot of hate from this. But look, if you want to live in a resort that's very clean and it's mostly gated communities, there's some lovely resorts there, including Angsana. But I would warmly suggest that, stay there if you want, but get out onto the streets and enjoy the real Thailand. Also some very nice beaches fronting the Laguna area, including Bang Tao and Layan beaches. But just as a general community, it's sort of soulless. And I call it sort of Legoland. But if you like that sort of living, then yeah, sure, Laguna could be a place that you might enjoy. Tim Kent says, she can't. Yes, you can get distracted. You crash the car. Is there a big S under the polo shirt? No. I'm not Superman. As I said, these just make the reading just a little bit easier. It just brings it a little bit more crisp. I can read perfectly well without the glasses, but this morning I'm just a little bit hay feverish and a bit watery, so these are just making things a little bit clearer for me. Agoda will not accept my Thai debit card, says Rob Roy. Difficult to get a Thai credit card. Yeah, getting a Thai credit card is a little bit difficult. You'll have to shop around to do that. Ken RQ says, agreed, Tim. Out and about is best, especially the street food. If you're going to come to Thailand, surely you're coming here to enjoy Thailand. If you want a quiet Western style resort with a nice beach, you can go to many places in the world, probably in your own country. But if you want to come to Thailand, you're coming here to enjoy the culture, enjoy the adventures, enjoy trying to avoid being scammed. Enjoy going on a whole lot of attractions and things that you wouldn't see in your own country. Surely that's the reason that you come to Thailand. So that's my only complaint. I mean, Laguna is perfectly clean and lovely and people love living there, but to me it's sort of like Singapore. It's like living in a Western style Asia, and it's not sort of real. Just my opinion. I go to Thailand to enjoy Mexico. I don't understand that at all. The Aussiewee says, Christmas in Bangkok is a fantastic place to be more Christmas than the Western world. I have to say that in Bangkok, Aussiewee, they really do turn on a great Christmas. The decorations are fantastic. They'll probably be rolling them out this month. The stores, the decorations in some of the department stores are amazing. And they spend zillions. And yeah, you can celebrate a fantastic Christmas spirit in Bangkok, probably more so than in your home Western country that may have a strong Christian tradition. For the Thais, they see it as a way to extract money from foreigners, but the Thais do love dressing up. They love the idea of Santa Claus and the idea of presents, and so why not? I've certainly enjoyed Christmas in Bangkok over a few years. Good morning, Tim. You remind us of the good memories. Wayne Baston says, hi, Tim. Own any ETA on the details of the preferred visa agent arriving on your website. I don't actually have a website, that's part of the problem. We are going to be doing TNT choices, which will be offering preferred visa agents, insurance agents, all sorts of different things that make your life easier to live in Thailand, either as an expat or as a traveller. Still working on it. You'll be the first to know as soon as I get it launched. Can I just take a brief moment to talk about a little charity that we're doing in a couple of weeks? So today or tomorrow, I'm going down to visit Sam at Seeds of Change, SOC. Seeds of Change is a great organisation. They started during COVID with Sam McHugh, getting together people and teaching them to sew. Mostly people who had Burmese children. Burmese people, obviously. So she was teaching them how to sew. Then they started sewing these toy elephants out of fabric. And they were getting people to donate fabric to them to repurpose them as these little toy fabric Thai elephants. And it's grown into quite a business, such that there are now many people involved. They've got their own site at Koh Saray, and it's turning into quite a nice little business. Basically operating as a charity and giving opportunities to underprivileged people, upskilling people with sewing talents, and also in retail. And now a lot of Thai hotels actually taking these toy elephants. They're usually about this size, but they're also making really big ones and really small ones, like for key rings. And what I'm doing is I used to wear those ridiculous flowery sort of Songkran style shirts, and the more obtuse they were, the more you seemed to like them. I didn't particularly like wearing them. They weren't my sort of style, but I realised it was a bit of an eye grabber, a point of interest, but I always thought it made me look like a 70-year-old pedophile. So anyway, I am going to donate about 30 shirts to Seeds of Change, and I'll be doing an interview with Sam, which we'll see next week. And then we're going to put those repurposed toy fabric elephants up for auction, and we're going to offer them to you. So you'll be able to get one of Tim's old shirts and have a little bit of Thailand in your home, or do whatever you like with it, and give it to a friend as a gift. So we're going to auction them off as soon as they're ready. So hopefully we're going to have, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 of these beautiful little elephants made out of my old shirts, and then we're going to donate that money back to Seeds of Change to help them make more toy elephants, find more fabric, set up more retail outlets. I think it's a great idea. So we'll learn more about Seeds of Change, about what they do, how they help the community. We'll visit their new location there in Koh Saray, and we'll set up our little project that you and I will do together to auction off those shirts. Hopefully we can raise some good money for Seeds of Change. More about that next week. I hope your surgery is well recovered. Yes, getting the stitches taken out in about half an hour's time, so I look forward to that. Tim, you are my favourite 70-year-old pedophile. Yeah, okay. I'm not 70 for starters, and I'm certainly not a pedophile. Thank you for asking. What else have we got? I never ate Western food when I lived there for 18 months, just ate Thai street food throughout, thoroughly enjoyed it, says Rachel Masters. Well, look, one thing I suppose, Thai street food is universally safe. I mean, use your own brains. If you see some food that appears to have been left out for 3 or 4 hours and starting to go green, well, maybe don't eat it. Otherwise, I find the Thai street food very safe. To eat it all the time, I don't think is a great health choice. It's not shingles, by the way, Ian, but thank you very much for asking. I'll talk about shingles vaccines on another day. But what are we talking about? Street food. To eat Thai food all the time, 100% of the time, I think you've got to mix it up with some other foods, some healthy choices, because a lot of Thai food is full of spices, sugars and salts, and other things that may not be good for you in large amounts. Even eating too much rice, I think, can probably be bad for you. Having too much of anything is probably bad for you. But I love my Thai food, but I do also mix it up with some like healthy breakfasts and occasionally some salad, some Western style salads as well. Now, Tim, those flowery Hawaiian shirts look great. You may be able to get one of those flowery Hawaiian shirts on a toy elephant very, very soon. Okay. I want a Tim shirt, but to wear myself. Vintage excellence. Sorry, these shirts are going to be repurposed. I'm not sure how many elephants they can make out of a shirt. We'll find out from Sam. Tim, can you put on the charity during a weekly show? I missed part of your presentation. Wife needed my attention. Good luck to you, Don. Thai food full of MSG and no hygiene. Completely disagree with you in the area of hygiene. Lived here for 11 years. I've never got, touch wood, food poisoning from Thai food. The only 2 times I've got food poisoning here is eating pizzas. Vegemite. Don't have Vegemite. I like my Promite, but I only have that probably once a week. That's very high in salt as well. Tim, have you spent much time in Pattaya? What do you think of the place? Chicano on the go. No, I haven't spent much time in Pattaya. I've been there 3 times. Yeah, I think only 3 times. It's not my sort of vibe. I like good beaches. I like the lifestyle in Phuket. I've got my friends down here and my life. And my partner, everything else is here in Phuket for me these days. However, I am going to visit Pattaya in the next couple of weeks to do a few of the TNT programs. So I'll be going there once again, and probably we'll be having a talk to a few of the vloggers up there, and we'll be talking about why they think Pattaya is a great place to be. As I said, not necessarily a popular place for me, but for those people that like Pattaya, they seem to love it. Okay, a few more comments and then we'll just wrap things up. How's the weather now in Phuket? I'm thinking of coming this Friday. We're at the end of the rainy season. Weather generally will be picking up. Today is looking okay, although I think both today and tomorrow there could be a few rain showers later in the afternoon. There was a little bit of rain last night. Generally though, the heaviest rains are probably past us for this year's monsoon, and we'll be looking at better weather ahead. Even when it was pissing down with rain every day, it was still 28, 29 degrees. So yeah, the weather here is definitely on the improve. As I speak now, I'm looking out across blue skies with a few clouds. So a very nice day indeed. Stop eating mango sticky rice. No way, I would have withdrawal symptoms. Tim, the key word is anything in life in moderation. Says Stevie C, most things in moderation. There are some things that you shouldn't take in moderation. Some things you shouldn't take at all. But we're all grown-up adults. We know what we're putting in our bodies, we hope. How is the weather? I've done that. Weather is fine whether you like it or not. Don't care about the rain. Thailand's always good. And with that, I think we've basically seen today's program through. We've gone through the issues. Thank you very much for your support. Just to say, over the past 3 weeks now, we've averaged over 10,000 views per day for the TNT program. Now, that was a milestone I thought might happen sometime next year. But we get some days well over 10,000, some days just under, but we are averaging over 10,000. My next goal is to have over 10,000 every day, and so that's the next milestone. And we've also got a few new programs to be added in the next couple of months as well. So very slowly, delicately, with the support of people like Scott and the other kind people who donated, I'm going to put that money to good use and we'll be buying some additional microphones, trying to improve my system, make my presentation better, making it look a bit better in the background, basically just tweaking the program, and also spending a little bit more time each day to make sure I can give you a more professional presentation and bring you a good range of stories. Sometimes it's a bit of a rush, but always do my best to try and bring you a good range of stories as well presented as I possibly can. 12.4 thousand subscribers. Yes, we're going for Gunnar. Sorry if I got the pronunciation wrong. You can give me some guidance on that. But yeah, obviously now the big goal is 20,000 subscribers. But our subscription level to views each day is very high, and I'm really humbled by that and humbled by your support. So thank you very much for watching today. Hopefully we've had a bit of a conversation, shared some of your views, and explained some of the big items at the moment, the buying land here in Thailand, and why the TAT exaggerate their tourism numbers. So if we haven't, then maybe we'll get to do it again next week. What is the name of the cafe you're in? Dean and DeLuca. They let me do this for free. I buy breakfast here on Saturdays. Okay, thank you very much. You deserve an award for being able to work with Mr. LeShark. Do you really believe you have more than 30 years upright? Absolutely. No worries about that at all. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to get my stitches taken out, so I'm not sure what you'll see in place. They might take the stitches out and put some more bandages back on. I don't know, but I'll find out in the next half hour or so. Hope you have a fantastic Saturday. For some of you, it might be Friday night, but go to bed, have a good sleep, have a great weekend. I will see you back on Monday with another TNT. And as usual, I thank you and am humbled by your support. See you later.